In this video, I'm taking a sheet of UArt 280 sanded paper, and I am doing a non-objective pastel painting with an underpainting of a water-based oil paint. So I am using some black here and a stiff bristle brush, and then I'm going to add some other colors that reflect some of the colors I have seen in nature recently. And I'm using, a really kind of expressive brush strokes and a little bit of drawing because I want those expressive marks to show through in the finished work. So that's what I'm doing in the beginning stages of this pastel painting, and using, some water to brush that paint around, and then I'll add some other colors later on. So in this part of the painting, I'm starting to add some other colors with the water-based oil paints. And I'm adding some orange. I will add some green, a little bit of yellow, and that will be the colors because I just finished a painting about daylilies in pastel. And so I'm just using a different technique in this work on sanded paper and using the same pastels for this pastel on sanded paper. Okay, so I have dried this with my hair dryer, and I picked out some colors, and actually I'm going to use the same colors that I used on the last pastel that I did on the Reeves BFK paper. I think that's what I'm going to use for this. So I just want to put a few lines in here with, let's see, charcoal, maybe some hard pastel, this is only meant to be non-objective, but I also want to just have a little bit of mark making in here underneath, so it looks a little bit more interesting. I'm not going to put it everywhere, and some of it's going to get covered up, and I'm not making any plant. I like this color. This is a nice brown. So I think, with the sanded paper also, it can be really good to use hard pastels in the beginning. It really gives you that light layer of color without filling up a lot of the tooth. So not a bad thing to do. Some people only use these hard pastels in their work. So it's a really great way to get started. So I might put just a little bit more down here. But that oil paint that I put down earlier, is it dry? It feels dry. And, because it's water-based, the water dries. If you were to put it down really thick, that might be a problem. But I didn't put it down real thick, so it's okay. I do like the paper. It's just, when you get used to working in a certain way with a certain material, then it takes a while to kind of figure out a new material. So I'm sure that's been your experience, because that's what I find to be true, is like at first I can try a new material and think, oh, I really don't like it. But you have to get used to working with it, and you have to see, well, how's this going to work? Can I use this? How can I manipulate this new material and get it to do what I want it to do? Because You know, I've tried a lot of different pastel surfaces, and I really recommend doing that because that's the only way you're going to find out if a new material is going to work for you or not. Sometimes when you try something, the problem might be you're putting it on a material that just doesn't work for you. So, you know, the Reeves BFK and the clear gesso works for me because it fits my style more than other materials. It fits my style more than this, but it's fun to experiment with this. So I'm going to quit talking for a little bit, and I'm just going to apply some pastels. A little too dark. So like I said, these are exact same colors I used on my recent pastel, which I did not make a video of. But they had these pulled out, and I thought, well, why not use these? Because they were more, the colors are more reflective of the daylilies, because that's what I was making a pastel of, and this is more of a non-objective, but I'm going to use the same pastels to see what I get on this. And I had a blue picked out, which I'm going to put in here in the dark areas, which is a great color in that rust area. I like that. I want to leave some of that black paint, but I'm going to put that blue in that rust area. That's kind of nice. You know, a lot of times what I think is the underpainting does a lot of the work. It does sometimes the majority of the work. If you get the underpainting done and you have enough value and you have enough contrast and you have enough changes in color and value, that the underpainting does a lot of the work. So I've got a lot going on up here. Now I need to figure out just down there what I'm going to do. So I think I'm gonna go for putting in some, well, that's a real kind of a peach. Which didn't look like that when I picked it up. So I think I'm going to lighten that up. And I might want to even make that more of a gray. Let's see. So I put that pastel down pretty heavily there. This is actually more of a blue, but that's not bad. I kind of like that because the blue is in contrast to all this warm in here. So it is kind of a nice color to actually have in there, is this blue. When I picked it up, I thought it was gray until I put it down, and then I realized, no, this is blue. But, if I put it down light enough, I can put some gray on top of it. But I think it's working really well, that blue. Because it is the complementary color. Now I think I might need even a little bit a darker version of it that I need to look for. And I can try that out on my paper towel. Now here's one. That is a really nice blue also. A little bit darker, but I like that. I think that's a good color to have in here. Okay. A little bit darker, so it kind of changes value a little bit. So maybe I want now down there some really I don't have a lot of line in here. So maybe, I do these kind of hash marks here, but I just wonder if I need some different kind of line going on different places. Long green. Just like you would in a painting, you don't want the same kinds of brush strokes. And I think in a pastel, you don't want the same kind of mark making everywhere. You want some, short marks. You want some broad strokes. You want areas that are quiet and scumbled over other areas. You want to move that color around. Maybe you have green down here, but where else can I put this green? Can I, put it up there? Can I move that color around a little bit more? Or even like a darker version of it. So, I think with the underpainting, like I said, I find that the underpainting does a lot of the work. And then the pastels, when you put them on top, it's kind of like the last layer of the color, and you don't need too much more. You know, I really like that blue that I put down. And in my other pastel, I had used a really bright blue. And I'm just thinking I need, how about this right here, next to this orange. That's a nice spot, just kind of needing to have, you know, where's that, maybe not that center of interest, but where is that brightest spot? Where do I want the attention going? And that bright pop of blue might be just the trick. And also then there is this color, which I haven't really used, but it's this really bright red orange. So maybe I'll put that in here also. That really bright kind of pop of color right in there. And let's see if there's somewhere else I can put that. Maybe here, which was part of the underpainting, but I could put that over there. And, you know, I'm liking the way that that turned out, and I'll have to, you know, look at it now and take a picture of it and see, is there something else that I need to do? But I like the way it is. And it was fun to use the same colors on that I used in my more, you know, obvious abstract floral that I did a few days ago, but use it in a more non-objective way. So I'm going to leave that the way it is, and I'm going to think about it and see if there's something else that it needs that I just don't even see right now, because I want to just back away from it and not do anything else to it until I take a picture of it, look at it on my phone, think, oh, okay, that's a little too busy there, or that needs to be quieted down, or maybe it needs to be flipped on its side or upside down. So those are the kinds of things that I want to be able to do with this. So right now, as I'm looking at it, I'm thinking still the bottom kind of bothers me, that maybe something with this color maybe needs to come down to the bottom, because it's really heavy on top, but it's light here. So that's my first thought, but I'm gonna take a picture of it, look at it on my phone, and then see what I think about it. So this is it for today. So you know, so here's what I did today is I used the same colors I used in a semi-realistic abstract floral, but used the same colors on an abstract. Give that a try, or maybe the other way around. Maybe you've done an abstract where you could take those colors and do something even semi-realistic, and it doesn't have to be a flower. Maybe it could be a landscape, a face, a figure, something like that. So try both semi-realistic subject or an abstract, and use the same colors in both and see what happens. So, and try different surfaces. I've tried all sorts of surfaces, and sometimes you can get those little sample packs, especially from Dakota Pastel in Washington State. You can get little sample packets of different kinds of papers to try. And I would recommend that, because maybe something you're trying doesn't work on one surface for you, but it might totally work on a different surface. Sometimes the surface is the issue. So anyway, That's my non-objective for today.